Bueno, muy buenos días a las personas que se van conectando a esta sesión informativa y las personas que tal vez están reviviendo esta sesión por nuestro canal de YouTube. Les damos la bienvenida a esta sesión de Colfuturo con este convenio que nos acompaña el día de hoy y en este caso específicamente nos acompaña Soy, quien es representante de esta universidad, de esta institución y nos va a brindar información de utilidad sobre la oferta académica, requisitos de admisión, así como el proceso que ustedes deben seguir si quieren ser admitidos a los programas. Así que en este caso les voy a recordar que tenemos un convenio que en este caso les puede dar un porcentaje de descuento en el valor de la matrícula y más adelante Soy nos confirmará cuál es ese porcentaje de beneficio que pueden tener si ustedes se postulan a los programas que se tienen con el convenio de Colfuturo. Así que deben hacer la hoja de ruta o la línea para obtener ese beneficio es postulándose por medio del programa Crédito Beca de Colfuturo y posteriormente, si son seleccionados por nosotros, vamos a enviar sus nombres a las instituciones de convenio y la institución como tal se encargará de otorgarles ese beneficio resultado de nuestro convenio. Así que sin más información, de nuevo les doy la bienvenida y cualquier duda, cualquier inquietud que surja en el camino, pueden escribirlo en la cajita de Q&A y al final vamos a resolver cada una de esas inquietudes. Así que sin más introducción, thank you so much, Zoe, for being here, and you can go ahead and start your presentation.
Excellent. Thank you for that lovely introduction. So, hello, welcome everyone to this webinar. My name is Zoe Crabb, and I'm a recruitment manager at HEC Paris. I am in charge of students that are currently studying or have previously studied in Colombia. So, if ever you have questions after today, even if you have questions today, don't hesitate to write them in the Q&A or the chat. Or if you have questions after today, you can always send me an email. I'll give you my email address at the end of the webinar. And I'm your point of contact at HEC. So email, phone, LinkedIn, you can contact me for questions about the program or the admissions process. So first I'm going to talk about HEC, the history of HEC. Just quickly show the sort of beginning of HEC 142 years ago, and we moved to a campus in the 1964. So HEC Paris was inaugurated in 1881, but then 80 years later, we moved to Juillon-Josas. So that's in a suburb located outside of Paris, France. I'll talk about our campus a little bit further down in the presentation, but just so you know, these are just some key dates at HEC. And the last year we redefined, in 2021, so 2 years ago, we redefined the values of HEC on the occasion of 140 years of the university being founded. So the values of HEC, the mission is to impact business and society through research, education, action, to contribute to a more inclusive, prosperous, and sustainable world. You can see our values in over on the side and our mission. And it's just to give you a little bit of an idea of the values that we hold at HEC and the mission that we share with between our alumni network and our school. It's something that we hold dear. So some information more about our school. Now, there's 4,500 students in degree-seeking programs, 150 nationalities represented. Of our student body, 64% are international students, and that's also reflected in our full-time faculty. We have almost 2/3 of our faculty that are international, meaning non-French. And we were ranked #1 business school in Europe by the Financial Times. We are a professional business school, so this is an important aspect to highlight, that we have many internship possibilities if you join HEC. And we also have lots of recruitment events throughout the year. It says 50 recruitment events, and 300 companies travel to our career fairs and our meetups. It's definitely a a way for students to be hired in their respective fields after they graduate is to get a degree from HEC Paris. We have many connections in Europe at large and the UK, not just in France. So coming to HEC, it's not just a way to access working in France, living in France, but it's definitely opens up doors across Europe and in the UK as well. Um, about our teaching methods, we have high quality standards, many class hours, and we try to have the largest class be less than 55 students. So smaller class sizes and more time in the classroom is part of our very important teaching methods, and to always be taught by a main instructor, never a TA. Another part of HEC's degrees is that we do the perfect balance between theory and practice, with 50% of our faculty that are research oriented and 50% that are practitioners in their respective fields that come. Maybe it's a CEO of a company that comes to a campus just for a week to teach a credit course. And so there's a lot of different options for who those people, the practitioners, can be. But these programs are highly practical, and they're to gain skills for your CV, and as well to gain skills to boost your employability. So we do many live case studies and company projects as well with the practitioners in their respective fields. So now I'm going to play a short video. Thank you for watching that video. We'll have a lot of the information. I'll go into more detail in the future slides. So here we go. Now to go into more specifics about the programs that we offer at HEC and for which you, I hope most of you are eligible. So we have over on the left-hand side that is highlighted are pre-experience programs. So these are our programs for students with less than 3 years of professional experience. We also have post-experience, executive education, and PhD programs, but I represent our pre-experience programs, so I will be speaking to you solely about those in the future slides. So first, our summer school programs. So these are really exciting programs that we have on campus, and they're for students that perhaps are not yet old enough to join our master's programs, or maybe they're in the middle of their bachelor, or they're in high school. So these summer school programs are a great way to dip your toes into HEC's teaching methods and to get to come to France and experience like an intense program about many different subjects. So we don't have any examples here, but you can check out on our website what we have. We have classes, so they're 2-week intensive courses in English, and you come to the campus, you stay on the campus, and you're taught by HEC professors. So we have, for the summer school, we have luxury management, several finance programs, corporate finance, mergers and acquisitions, class on geopolitics, and I believe one on climate change. And then we have some that are double summer school programs where you do 1 week at HEC and then 1 week in one of our partner schools. It's actually what we have on for our summer school program are super exciting programs, and you're eligible from 18 to 30 years old. Our youth program, so that's for our high school students, and you can check out on our website what we're offering. It's youth leadership program. They're maximum 1 week programs, and they're pretty exciting. So now to talk about our master's programs at HEC, and we have a lot of different programs available. First and foremost, I'm going to be talking about our Grande École Master in Management program, which is done in 2 years, and I'll go into great detail about that one because that is our flagship at HEC. We are #1 in the world by Financial Times ranking. And we also have several different 1-year programs. And you can see here finance, strategic management, sustainability marketing. I won't go so much into detail about those programs, but if you have questions, or you can always check out our website about those programs. And we also have dual degrees with partners in France as well as abroad. So here are some of the options of the dual degrees that you can apply to from the application process. But we also have many, many programs that are accessible through the Master in Management with, so I'll get into that in a minute, but these programs, so data science for business, data and finance, Master in Management and Innovation, and business law. All of these programs, you can apply directly to these programs. And the structure pretty much is that you have 1 year at HEC and 1 year in our partner institution. So the only exception to that rule is the entrepreneur program, in which it's more like it's not a 2-year program and it's really a joint degree. But all the other programs, you get a degree from HEC and the degree from our partner institution. So going into the class profile of our Master in Management. So you can see the number of students and the nationalities with a great balance in diversity, which is, as you saw at the beginning of our presentation, a very important aspect, one of our pillars of HEC. So you can see here the sort of previous university location with primarily our students are coming from Europe, but 9% of the Americas. And I'm super excited to be presenting to candidates, potential candidates in Colombia, because perhaps that number will augment in the future from 9% from the Americas. And one thing of note is that also all academic backgrounds are eligible to apply. So we have a lot of students applying from engineering, business management, economics, but then with varying other like social sciences, humanities, hard sciences, and finance. So there's a lot like you don't have to come from a business background or an economics background to join this program. It's really varied. That diversity of number one, nationalities, but also diversity of academic background. We think that enriches the classroom in to have like students in the same classroom doing engineering, who have previously studied engineering or social science or humanities, to have them all in the classroom. We think that that contributes to like in the curriculum can really benefit from having all these different perspectives. So now to go into the structure of the year. So the first year is the generalist phase, and I'll actually show you, I think on the next slide, some core courses that are mandatory and for the first year, but pretty much it's a generalist phase. So you have to get foundations in business and management before you go into the specifics. So there's a lot of different classes that you take. I'll just go on to the next slide really quickly. As you can see, strategy, statistics, law, finance, like you're sort of getting the foundations in all of these different subjects before it puts everyone on the same level before you build upon those in the specialization phase. So I'm also going to show you here is the structure of the program. Again, year one, you do the generalist phase. Then there's the optional gap year. So in order to graduate with this program, you do have to have a certain amount of professional experience. So sometimes students who are coming from who have worked for a couple of years after their bachelor's degree, they can waive the gap year. But a lot of students choose to take the gap year even if they've worked prior to joining the program for a few reasons. One would be perhaps to make some money to pay for your living costs of your second year in the program. One would be perhaps to work in Europe. This gives you an opportunity to have 2 internships in Europe while you decide what your specialization is. And another reason is to utilize our career services to the utmost. Then the second year is the specialization phase. So I'll talk now about the specialization phase because you have basically 3 options. One, to stay at HEC and to do one of our in-house specializations. So you can see here all the different options you have at HEC: finance, marketing, digital, sustainability, strategy, all of these things. Then we also have the second option. So first option, stay at HEC. Second option, a double degree in France. You can see here our partnerships of double degrees in France or a double degree abroad. So these are all of our partners. Well, not all of our partners. This is a list of some of our partners that we have. And you can basically, what's nice about the Master in Management is that it opens up all doors at HEC. You can stay at HEC for your second year. You can do a double degree with one of our partners in France or abroad. And then the last option is to specialize in international business. And there you would have a 1 semester at HEC and then 1 semester at a partner institution. So that's quite exciting. And if you'd like to, it's kind of like an exchange program where you learn business from a different university or an international perspective at the other school. So those are the 3 options in your Master in Management, but as you can see, those 3 options actually are comprised by many, many options. So that's why I talk most about the Master in Management, is that it opens up really a lot of doors. And if you're not sure where you'd like to, what you'd like to do afterwards, then really the Master in Management is a great option for you. So career paths is just a couple of photos of our alumni. And then to talk about after the Master in Management, as you can see, primarily students are ending up in France, Europe, and the UK, with small percentages, like that's 11% that are ending up elsewhere in the world. So the reason for that is I think that after you went to school in France, you may want to stay and work in Europe for a couple years. So that doesn't necessarily mean that this is a few years after graduation. I think these statistics are from directly after graduation. So you can see kind of the different job sectors they're working in, and the average salary, and that 56% of students work outside their home country. And this is just to show our alumni network, which is in 150 countries. We have 70,000 alumni, and that's another bonus for getting a degree from HEC, is that you'll have access to that alumni network, which is one of the largest in Europe. So 85 chapters worldwide. There are chapters in so many countries. And if whether you are working in Europe or abroad after you graduate, you would have access to alumni events and just that alumni network where you can leverage for future professional advancement or for networking purposes. So this was in the video as well. I just wanted to show some of the corporate partners at HEC. And these are all partners that we have that maybe come to HEC and do events, interviews. They offer internships. So there's really a lot, and I don't think that this even shows them all. Now to talk about campus quickly before we go into some more information about applying to HEC and scholarships. So we have the largest campus in Europe, and it's located between Paris and Versailles. 80 classrooms and amphitheaters, so many sports fields, and it's just a really large campus. We have 130 student clubs and associations, humanitarian, professional, cultural, sports. And we also have like library, on-campus resident for international students is guaranteed. So you don't have to worry about getting an accommodation in Paris or elsewhere. You can just rely on, as long as you register for housing, you are guaranteed housing at HEC. So just to talk overview, we didn't talk very much about the one-year programs because I think I just wanted to go into the Master in Management more, but just the profile we value pre-experience, it's important that you have less than 3 years of professional experience, that you share our values, and all academic backgrounds are eligible to apply. Our 2-year programs, so the Master in Management or any of our double degrees, are for students looking to grow their professional network, ready to explore options before they specialize, and interested in internships that may lead to full-time offers. Our 1-year programs are very fast-paced, rigorous programs, and they're for students that want to be quicker on the job market, boost employability, and gain practical skills on their CV before quickly joining the job market. And so now we'll go into how to apply. And first I'll talk about the 5 pillars of an application. So these are the 5 pillars of an application: a competitive GMAT or GRE score, cross-cultural sensitivity, academic excellence, internships or extracurricular activities, and strong motivation. The application process is quite straightforward. You provide the supporting documents by the deadline, which I'll show the deadline in a minute. And basically, the deadline you apply with your documents by the deadline. Then all the applications are reviewed by our admissibility jury. They decide at that point whether or not they'll invite you to an interview. And if you are not invited to an interview, the process stops there. If you are invited to an interview, then you'll have an interview on Zoom for 20 to 25 minutes. And then the admission results are published. So you can see here the admissions deadlines and the deadlines for each step of the process. So a few recommendations from me is that applications are not on a rolling basis. So whether you apply today, September 12th, or October 16th, you actually don't have better odds. We'll look at all the applications in a round, regardless of when you submitted your candidature. So that being said, it's not on a rolling basis, but you can start your application now, September 12th, and then submit it in round 2, round 3, etc. I recommend maybe you think about doing this just because if you start your application now, you can take a look at the essay questions, and that's actually a great way to kind of maybe start thinking about it and start uploading some of your documents. So it's nice to open up an application and then you can submit it when you're ready. It'll get automatically transferred to the next round. So if you start your application today and you don't submit by round 1 deadline, October 17th, then it'll just roll over to the next round, round 2. And so that gives you really, you have a lot of time to mull over, to think about, to consider the essay questions, and to really write them to the best of your ability, because that is your essay questions and your other supporting documents are integral to the decision on whether or not we invite you to an interview. So I do have one tip as well, is that I recommend usually students apply in round 1, 2, or 3. So round 4, each of our rounds, it's highly competitive to get admission to HEC. Each round is highly competitive, but round 4, we have less spaces because we've been admitting students in every round. By the time round 4 happens, it's the last round, we've probably already admitted all these students before the round even begins. So your odds are a bit diminished by the time round 4, but the difference, I don't really see that there's that much of a difference between applying in round 1 versus round 2 versus round 3. It's about the same. I just, that being said, I do recommend you apply when your application is strongest. So if you think that you can improve your GMAT score, or if you think, oh, like I'd like to work at my internship for a while so that I can talk about that in the interview, or I'd like to wait for second semester because I want to see my first semester grades on my transcript, it's improved my transcript, all of those things, we recommend that you apply when your application is the strongest. Okay, now scholarships. So I have a couple slides about scholarships, and then perhaps at the end we'll present the Colfuturo information about Colfuturo, which is also quite an important loan scholarship program for these for Colombian students. So we have 2 types of scholarships at HEC: needs-based and merit-based. Merit-based scholarships, there's no application. You are just if you are admitted to HEC, then we review all admitted students and we decide to attribute the merit-based scholarships to those who we determine were the top candidates in the round. Then we also have needs-based scholarship, and that you have to apply to. So in the application process, you will just have to, if you are interested in needs-based scholarships, then you just apply within the application, and there's some documents additional documents you have to provide proving your financial situation and perhaps that of your parents. And so what this doesn't say is that all scholarships will probably be attributed within a week of your admission results. So that's actually before you have to confirm your spot in the program. So before you confirm your spot in the program, you'll know if you were attributed at least one of the HEC Foundation scholarships. There's also the Eiffel Scholarship. So this scholarship is a very advantageous scholarship for students, non-EU students. It is only applicable if you are admitted in round one. So that's earlier I was talking about the rounds, and there's not that big a difference between applying in round one versus round two versus round three. But actually, if you'd like to apply to the Eiffel Scholarship, you should apply in round one. There's no way to apply to it otherwise. So the benefit of this scholarship is that you would, it's a French Ministry of Education government scholarship, and they give you a monthly stipend of almost 2,000 or no, 1,200 euros per month. And you also get a return ticket to your home country. So the Eiffel Scholarship, it's highly advantageous. It's very interesting scholarship, but it's also very competitive. International students apply to this from any university in France. And and it also, the results take a little bit longer. So you would have to confirm your spot at HEC before you have the results about the scholarship, the Eiffel Scholarship, because you would apply probably by December, and you would have to confirm your spot in sometime in December, and then the results come out around April in the following year. So it's something to think about, that this is a very competitive scholarship. If you have a non-EU at nationality, you're eligible to apply in round one, but you won't find out if you're granted the scholarship for a really long time. And so probably you should have other solutions to pay for your studies than relying on the Eiffel Scholarship. So one of my last slides is just a silly slide about living in France. So all of our programs at HEC that I've talked about today are fully in English, but that's not to say that you can't benefit from many things that international students love and cherish about the country of France. So over on the right-hand side, you can see a stereotypical Frenchman with his baguette and glass of wine. HEC Paris is very closely located to Paris, and that's a hub for museums, concerts, literary festivals, as well as a hub for other different countries in Europe. So easily accessible by train, plane. There's ways to get around. France is very centrally located in Europe. And just to say as well, the country of France is very vast and varied geographically. So you can have the beaches of Normandy that are quite wild, and then the beautiful maintained beaches of the Côte d'Azur. There's mountains in the Pyrenees and the Alps and the Vosges. There's really, it's quite a beautiful country, and with a varied geography. And last couple notes is the gastronomy. So the French are known for wine, cheese, bread, and their cooking. And all students would be covered under the French Social Security. So if you'd like to keep in touch, please feel free to scan the QR code where I think you can download any of our brochures. And we have many different videos on our YouTube channel as well as our LinkedIn page. Feel free to follow us on LinkedIn or YouTube. And without further ado, I'll open up to questions and just like to thank you for joining me in this presentation. And for questions, you can always direct them to admissionsmasters@hec.fr, or we can have some questions now.
Good. So before that, thank you again, Zoe, for being here for the time for the presentation. We have a couple of questions from social media. So the first one is about the score that they should have in the GRE or the GMAT. So maybe if you can tell us about the specific score that they should have.
Yes, great question. So the GMAT, I'd say around 700 and above, depending on the program. So usually I'd say students have from 650 on the GMAT to 700. The closer you get to 700, the more odds perhaps your chances will of admission. And from 700 and above, I'd say you'd have better chances for a scholarship. And the GRE, it's 320 on average.
Good, thank you. And the next question, it's also about the requirements, and they're asking about which exam do I have to present to certificate that I have a proficiency of English?
So we have several different exams that we require. We have a IELTS, TOEIC, TOEFL, and Cambridge that we accept. I can write that in the chat.
Yeah, please. And if you can add the scores that they must have.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
these aren't minimum, but they are the average for
Okay.
admitted students.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Juan's question, and he's saying, can you repeat the financial cost per year and full program?
Yes. Oh, I did. I made a mistake on the TOEIC. Just going to double check that. 850 to 900. Okay, so the fees, it depends on the program, I guess, Juan, but for example, the Master in Management, the total cost is about 53,000 euros. And then for one of our 1-year programs, so the 53,000, that's for 2 years. It's the total cost for 2 years. And then for one of our master's 1 years program, that can range from 27,000 euros to upwards of 40,000 euros.
Great. Thank you. Then we have the next question is, what is the minimum age to apply for HSC?
So there's no minimum age, but we have high school students that attend summer programs, and then we have bachelor's students that attend our our summer programs as well. And then, but for a master in management, there's no minimum age. It's just you have to have a bachelor's degree from your former university. So as the average age can be 23 for those students, but sometimes we have students that graduated their bachelor's a little bit earlier, and sometimes, like in my Latin American candidates, oftentimes the degrees can take a little bit longer, maybe 4 or 5 years, and so maybe they're a little bit older. But yeah, I'd say it can range from 22 to 27 years old in these programs, the master's programs.
Okay, good. Thank you. Then I'm going to talk about the agreement, because we do have a question about the agreement between Colfuturo and the university. So I'm going to explain it in
Great.
Spanish. Tenemos un descuento como resultado del convenio, que lo mencionaba al inicio de la sesión. Y este beneficio es un descuento de 5.000 euros para 5 beneficiarios de Colfuturo que ya estén admitidos a los programas de maestría. Entonces, si alguno está interesado en poder acceder a este descuento que acabo de mencionar, debe hacer su proceso de postulación al programa Crédito Beca, que abre convocatoria el 9 de enero, cierra el 29 de febrero del 2024. Y si lo seleccionamos desde Colfuturo, ya va a ser finalmente la universidad quien va a elegir cuáles van a ser esas 5 personas que van a recibir el beneficio que acabo de mencionar. Y acá tengo una pregunta que le voy a mencionar a Zoe y la pregunta es, what is the criteria to select like this list of 5 beneficiaries of the discount with Colfuturo?
I'm sorry, could you, I got confused. Could you repeat?
Yeah, like for the discount that we have like as a result of our agreement, they want to know like what is the criteria to select the ones that are going to win this discount on the tuition fee.
Um, I think I think that's actually like it's Colfuturo that chooses the students that are that win the scholarship. And then if you win the scholarship and you're admitted to HEC, we give a 5,000 euro discount to Colfuturo students.
Okay.
So you have to win the Colfuturo scholarship and you have to be admitted at HEC, and then you'll get the discount.
Thank you. Then
Yes.
we're gonna go with Juliana. This question is for me, and she's asking where she can find the recording of the meeting. So we're gonna upload it in our YouTube channel. So maybe next week you're gonna find the recording on the YouTube channel of Colfuturo. Next one, we're gonna go with Andres, and he's asking, all the documents need an official translation and or apostage?
Okay. No. So we don't require official translations for the admissions process at all, but we do ask that you do an unofficial translation yourself. So for your transcripts and your, I guess it's probably mostly transcripts or official documents, you can just do yourself a translation and upload the original as well as the translation to your application. And then if my colleagues require anything further from you, they'll ask you, but usually for the admissions process, we don't require official translations or apostille.
Good, thank you. Then we're gonna go with Tanya. She's asking, well, she's saying my graduation was during the first semester of 2021.
Yes, so she previously asked if having 3 years of professional experience would
Okay.
hinder her application. And the answer, Tanya, is that you are for 2024, for the 2024 intake, all the deadlines that I talked about today, this is your last chance of eligibility. Because you graduated in 2021, you have until September 2024 to join the program. If you don't apply for September 2024, then you would be, I would redirect you towards my colleagues in the MBA, because MBA programs you can do starting with 2 years of professional experience, though the average years of professional experience for an MBA is more like 5.
Thank you. And then I have 2 questions from social media. The first one is about like the cost of living in France, and they are saying if you can give us like an estimate of how much they have to pay in order to attend to the program in
Okay,
France.
yes. So we typically tell students to budget for 1,400 euros per month. That would include housing, that would include food, leisure, and like healthcare or insurance. So 1,400 euros, and that Eiffel scholarship, if you can apply in round one, it's quite advantageous because it's quite close to that that number of that we recommend for your living costs.
Thank you. And then we have the last question, and this one is Can you tell us how easy or how difficult it is to get a job once we finish the master's degree?
Well, as you saw probably in the career prospects slideshow or the slide that I showed, it's 98% of our students are hired upon graduation. So really like our career services really work with students. We have several job fairs throughout the year, companies that come to campus, there's a study trip. There's a lot of opportunity for students to take advantage and to work with our career center for one of those internships or career like full-time jobs. But obviously, like it's something you have to be motivated. They don't come and knock on your door and say, "I have a job for you." You have to be motivated, talking to career services, and making sure you do take advantage of what they offer. They'll do personalized consultation with you. They'll do mock interviews. They'll do like um, they do these organize these career fairs. So and they send out a lot of emails with internship opportunities. So you just have to keep your eye out and as long as you're motivated and persevere, I think that most students find work after graduation.
And then we have another question regarding that topic, and they're asking, in your experience, do you think it's important to have like a good level of French to get a job?
Well, that is a great question. And the answer is it depends where you want to work. So if you would like to get a job in France upon graduation, then yes, you should probably have at least an intermediate level of French. But because HEC is an international school and we are the #1 business school in Europe, we have many different connections, Europe and in the Europe-wide and in the UK. So upon graduation, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of our students are working in France. As you saw, maybe about 50% work in France or stay in France after they graduate. And then the rest are spread out in Europe and the UK. And it's just our corporate partners and our brand at HEC is very well known in Europe.
Thank you. And the last question is from Julian. You already are gonna answer it, right?
Yes, I was going to ask Julian, when did he graduate from university?
Okay, so maybe Julian, if you can answer the question, so it can help you with that.
2017. So, Julian, I would recommend you look into applying to an MBA, and I can give you the email address to contact my colleagues at the MBA team because you are not eligible for the programs that I presented today. You're eligible potentially for the MBA. So they would probably have a they might make themselves available if you send your CV for an interview or like a consultation one-on-one discussion about your profile.
Good, so we do not have more questions. Thank you again, Zoe, for answering all the questions. And also, if you can send us your contact email in case they have more questions after the webinar.
Yes, of course. I will send it in the chat.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Just need to find the chat. There we go. Okay. So you can feel free to contact me at the email here in the chat, crab@hec.fr. I'm super happy to answer your questions, and also feel free to add me on LinkedIn, and we can connect on there as well.
Good, so thank you so much. Thanks everyone for being here, and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, lady. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.